Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sunday Brunch. I am your host, RM, and of course, we have with us today Russ Whitfield. Russ, how are you?
Oh, good, thanks. Summer has finally arrived in the United Kingdom. It's a beautiful day out. Like you, we've got a holiday tomorrow. So yeah, it's all looking pretty good. Apart from the fact my toilet is blocked, which is really annoying. So I have to get that sorted out. Um, so that's a nice little job I've got after this stream. But yeah, how are you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain. Went to the beach this morning, met everybody, hung out, got all the good gossip and all that sort of fun stuff
Hmm.
that we do. Although I missed the coffee run, like everybody runs and then they meet at this place that's on the boardwalk that has coffee, like a coffee house. I didn't make it there in enough time to get a cup of coffee or like a giant one of those giant teas
Hmm.
that I like to get. It's like 20-ounce tea, and I can just kind of sit back. I don't even talk. I just listen to what everybody has to say. Oh, really? What happened? And that sort of thing. So, but it was still a wonderful morning. I still have to exercise. I still have a lot of stuff to do. Apparently, my mother wants to go out. She didn't say she wanted to go out, and I asked her. I said, "Should we make plans? Do you want to do something special?" She says, "No, I'm fine staying at home." Then all of a sudden, she's like, "We should go out." And I said, "You didn't tell me that. I didn't make any plans to do anything. So I have to figure out if I can do anything." But we have been feasting, Russ. We've had delicious ribs and pork
Hmm.
yesterday. The day before we had a really nice steak. And then today is supposed to be salmon that I'm making for us. So she can't complain about the food at all. And it's all salt free because she can't have salt. So
Oh,
um, yeah, it's been a challenge to do it, but it came out pretty good. So she's happy with that. In fact, this morning she said, "Why don't we have ribs for breakfast?" And I said, "I don't know whether that's good to have ribs for breakfast. I don't know whether that's really something we should be doing."
ah, it's a holiday.
So as soon as I finish this broadcast, she's expecting some ribs, a plate of ribs. Um, so that's coming up. But Russ, that's how the holiday has been going. Tomorrow I might take her out. I don't know, but it's been a busy, kind of very interesting and very interesting weekend for us. Russ, it's good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you too. There's a Comic Con in London today. Uh,
Hmm.
so my daughter's gone dressed as Supergirl.
You
Um,
tell me you took a photo.
yeah, I did. Well, they did. And MJ's gone as Daenerys Targaryen. So those two have gone up to.
What?
That's actually where we were at the
Oh,
Excel.
oh, wow. That sounds like so much fun. It'd be great to see photos of their cosplay. They must be having such a great
I
time.
don't know how it's if it'll work. I can try and show you on my phone, I guess.
Yeah, that would be great to see.
Where is the picture? MJ.
Oh
MJ.
my
Where
I
are
love cosplay.
you?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Oh, wow, look at them. Look at that. I
So
love it. They look fantastic.
that's obviously Sam as Supergirl and MJ as Daenerys.
Yeah, look at her. They look wonderful. They look
Hmm.
fantastic, Russ. I just think that you are doing you did the right thing, Russ. You brought her up right.
I
Very
did. I brainwashed her early. Justice League animated for the win. Started her off on Super Friends when she was old enough to sit up, and then straight on to Justice League, Batman the animated series, New Adventures of Superman, Legion of Superheroes, the whole nine yards.
And I know the other day when I was at your house and we were talking about uh, I think it was Miami Vice,
Mm.
and I was telling you I was listening to those extended cuts of Crockett's theme, and she goes, "Is that the song that goes do 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 do?" I said, "Yes, it is." And I looked at you and I said, "You've taught her well, Russ. You have done such a great job."
Thank you.
It's so much fun to enjoy this stuff. And we have people coming in. Wow. Wow. Hello to Darth Plato who says, "Oh, I'm just waking up." Well, good morning. Darth Plato, what time is it near you? Is it 7 o'clock in the morning? You're in California, a beautiful area in California. It must be lovely where you are right now. And we have Retro Nerd Girl.
Oh, there she is, my resident crush. Hello, Retro. She texted me the other day.
Oh, wow. Well,
Mm.
hello, Retro Nerd Girl says, good morning, friends. Happy Sunday morning. Well, good morning to you, Retro Nerd Girl. It's always a pleasure to have you here in the morning. Nathan Trujillo is here. Hi, Nathan says, good morning, Artem and Russ. How are you doing? Hey, I'm doing great, Russ. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I've been pretty busy. I have to say, I've been exchanging a lot of emails with an actress that I love called Amy Johnston. She's a martial arts actress, and there's a long story as to how we got into contact and all the rest of it. But anyway, I sent her a screenplay that she really liked, and she sent that along to the man I want to be when I grow up. She sent it along to Scott Adkins, and he wrote back and said, no, he doesn't want to do this one, but has she got anything else? So she's like, Russ, have you got anything else? I'm like, well, literally no, not that would be suitable for you and Scott. So right now I'm about, I'll tell you exactly how many pages I am into. I am 35 pages into a screenplay for those two.
Wow.
So I sent her the first act, the first 30 pages. So she liked the first 10 pages. That was just like an action sequence and so on. And now that she's got the first 30, and I am going to carry on with that. But that's keeping me really quite busy because nobody likes writing. Anybody that tells you there's always something else to do, something better to do, even if that's like sitting staring at a wall. But I'm really committed to this. So yeah, so that's how I am. That's what I've been up to basically.
That is wonderful news. I always love to hear creators talking about their creations, and this really is a rare treat to hear you talk about what you're writing. And it is encouraging and inspiring to all of us who are fellow creators and have things going on. So excited, Russ, to see how this turns out for you. And Retro Nerd Girl says, "Love your hairstyle today, Artem." Well, thank you, Retro Nerd Girl. I so appreciate it. As you guys can see, I'm kind of, glammed up a little bit because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Cannes. And I have some news about it. I'm not going to Cannes, but I kind of dressed as if I were. I've got my summer Cannes party dress on, guys. I'd like to say that I just flew in from from France overnight, but I didn't. But I am going to talk about it because I'm just kind of excited about some of the news there. Norwegian Kryptonian says hello.
Oh, hello, mate.
Hope you are well. And Mario Lopez is here
There
today.
he is. There's Mario.
Hi, Mario. I hope you and your mom are well. It's such a pleasure to see you here. Retro Nurgle says great cosplay for MJ and Sam. Really, it did look great, didn't it? Oh my gosh. I'm
Well, it's
so
quite funny because that Supergirl costume is quite large on her now because Sam, like last year, Sam went on a period of like, oh, I hesitate to say bodybuilding, but she was deadlifting over 100 kilos and she was really quite. Yeah, oh
wow.
yeah, she got really into it, and of course she absolutely filled out that costume with the big muscles on her arms and all that sort of thing. So yeah, she really looked like a superhero then. She's more of a got a boxing physique now because she's been boxing for the past nearly a year. So she's shed all that muscle so she can move faster. But yeah, they look good. Thank you, Retro.
Well, she's got more of that svelte physique, I guess you would call it. Um,
Yeah.
and regardless, she's such a beautiful young woman.
Oh, thank
Russ,
you.
you must be very proud. And such great cosplay. What a joy to see cosplay in the morning. Um,
Hmm.
and Dark Plato says, I watched Super Friends. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was fine for the kids, and it was just like a nice introduction, even though that the characters were all interchangeable and we look at the dialogue and anyone could have said anything and blah blah blah. Yeah, nobody cares about that. All I cared about was it had a good message and Sam liked it, and then it was so she knew who everyone was. So then once the proper stuff started with Justice League, she was clued into it. And every year on Christmas we watch the Justice League Christmas episode, Comfort and Joy.
Every
Every year.
year on
Every
Christmas. It I love it. It sounds wonderful, Russ. I love sharing these Christmas traditions, and it is wonderful to hear them. Stubble McShave says, "Hi guys,
how's it, Stubble?
hi Stubble. Hope you are well. Saw him during the members only call of the Burnettwork yesterday. Stubble, you looked well, and Stubble's been enjoying a jazz festival." I guess I don't know how far it is away from where he lives, but he's been enjoying the jazz. And he joined the members only call yesterday for a little while and says, "Hey, I got to get back to the jazz." So Stubble is enjoying his live music.
You know what? I always thought Stubble would be a metalhead. I don't know why. I guess it's because he's Scandinavian. Lots of Scandinavians like heavy metal. I actually wrote a couple of songs for a Scandinavian heavy metal band back in the day.
Oh, I like that. I mean, Stubble, can you answer that question? Um, let Russ know, let all of us know whether you like metal and were you a metalhead to Stubble back in the day? It would be great to find
You're
out.
always a metalhead. Like once you're a metalhead, it's not were you. You always are. Listen, I listen to more synthwave and pop music these days than I listen to metal. But you know, if metal comes on, I'm not going to turn it off.
Yeah, I that's a great rule. If metal comes on, I'm not gonna turn it off. Like it sounds like a like it sounds like one of those kind of anthems. If metal
There's a brilliant line from a Man of War song that I think the song's called "The Kings of Metal," and it just stops and it goes, "If you're not into metal, you are not my friend," and that just about sums it up.
but I really like that. I think that would also make a good name, a good title for the documentary about your early metal years, Russ.
Oh God, yeah, the good old '80s.
But I think it would be interesting, like Russ's metal experience. Yeah, that I really like that, and it's your own words. So yeah, I think that would be interesting. I had to write that down. So Stubble, let us know. Darth Plato says 7:30 a.m. Wow, that is early, Darth Plato, but you're in California. So I don't know. I don't know whether I think every second that you can be in California is really worth it. Russ the indoctrinator. Now,
Totally.
now, Stubble, every child has to believe in something, and honestly, I think that these stories that we've been watching and this whole fandom, it's fun, and I think it's positive. So, while it might be indoctrination, it could be worse. Stubble, it could be.
Well, I mean, all joking aside, my ex never used to mind it because they, especially Wonder Woman and all the girls in Justice League, Hawk Girl, and then when they got to Justice League Unlimited, there was, you had Zatanna and Black Canary and they were all how they were all strong female characters, and they were all in, or most of them were in healthy relationships with people and they had problems of that ilk, but they were just teaching good messages, like Wonder Woman was always Sam's favorite. So so good when we took her to see Wonder Woman in the cinema. I'm actually tearing up thinking about it. Like just her little face, like she was a long time ago now. Like Sam's only she's 18 at the moment, so that would have been 5 years ago or so. So she would have been like 13 or 14 when Wonder Woman came out. So I was right at the right age to get someone to see that. And of course, it was an absolutely amazing movie. So yeah, it was all good.
I love that. What a wonderful memory, Russ. And, enjoy these moments that you have with her. I remember being
As
this.
I say, I don't get them anymore. Like in the past couple of weeks, everything has sort of changed, and she's like, we used to spend a lot of time around here, but now, boom! All of a sudden, she's got this job at Sky Sports. She
Right.
starts to.
Congratulations to
I
her.
know, right? Thank God it's internship, so that starts in October, and it's sort of gone from seeing her like 3, 4 nights a week to now I hardly ever, the past couple of weeks I've hardly seen her at all. And I was talking to her about it last night, not like, oh, you don't come and see me anymore. So no, this is really great because COVID took such a chunk out of this generation, her generation's development of boyfriends and girlfriends and going out and getting drunk and whatever, whatever you're going to do at that sort of age. They missed out on like 2.5 years of that. So now it's all come up and I couldn't be happier. She's off doing her own thing, which is awesome.
I think it is awesome. And I hope that, obviously, congratulations to Sam for a job well
Thank
done.
you.
Um, but I also hope that this whole generation looks at social media and all this stuff and just leaves it behind in the dust and just kind of says, you know what, I'm going to go out there and party and not check my phone every 5 minutes. I'm going to go out there and just kind of have fun and not worry about what's on the computer or anything like that. Kind of
Right.
like how we were. We just we went out and we had fun. And I hope they kind of embrace that because I think they're realizing that, there is life beyond the screen. So
times they are a changing. Should we go through, because there's like loads of people have turned up, and then
yes,
we'll crack
yeah,
on. Yeah.
let's do it. And Stubble McShave says it is 4:35 p.m.
Mhm.
And Retro Nurgle says I'm now just beginning to watch the animated Justice League, and it's incredible. I haven't watched it yet, Retro
Oh,
Nurgle.
it's so good, especially the development of Batman's character from Batman the Animated Series through to the end of Justice League. Like he becomes an older man, and you kind of forget if this was taking place over the period of like 10 or 15 years or whatever it was. So he sort of goes from like 25 or 30 or whatever to sort of 35 or 40, and the character that the wonderful Kevin Conroy portrays is utterly different yet the same as his Batman character. It's proper development. It's smart writing. It's just a great show. So I really hope you enjoy it, Retro, and see it all the way through. Do the first 2 seasons of Justice League and then Justice League Unlimited afterwards. Television at its finest.
Excellent, excellent recommendation. And Retro Nurgle, you and I are going to have to compare notes. I'm going to start watching the animated Justice League as soon as I can. So it's going to be fun to do that. Wex Wuther says, greetings, one and all.
Hello, Wex.
Hey. And Stavros is here. Hello, Stavros. Hey,
all right, Stavros.
good to see you. Also, we have Joe Tyson. Hey, Joe.
Big Joe. How is it, man? I hope you're doing okay. Hope all's well with the family. It's so lovely to see you. And I hope you enjoy the show. We don't even know what we're going to talk about. No, well, hey, I never get notifications either. And Rita's my friend, and I never see her stuff. Like I have to go looking for it.
I don't know why the notifications aren't going out, guys. Make sure it says notify, but I don't know.
Is this the point where we go, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification?
Subscribe and like, please, everybody, so you can get notifications for the show. And I'm sorry that you didn't get it. I'm so sorry. Mario Lopez says that Gladiatrix would make a great movie or TV show, or maybe Russ will subvert my expectations since I'm on page 400 of 781 of the iPhone book.
I can only apologize for the shitty formatting of those ebooks, right? So at points during the book, like I'd put three little asterisks to indicate like a scene change. And in the electronic copies, they didn't do that. So it was just literally jumps from like one scene to the other. Like, so you can have like a bit of dialogue and they'll be talking about this, that, and the other, and then a completely unconnected bit of dialogue because they haven't put those dots in to break up the scenes like you do in a chapter, So I apologize for that, Mario. I hope it's not too shit. And that you're enjoying it for what it is. It's the least favorite thing that I've done. I've said that first book, but hey, man, if you're liking it, great. And thank you very much indeed for picking it up.
And guys, make sure you check out the Gladiatrix series that Russ has written. There's 3 books, and I've heard nothing but good reviews about them.
I don't know. I've got a few shit ones. Sam was looking at them yesterday, reading them out for me for some reason. I just found some new reviews of your books. This person doesn't like it. What a letdown. So that's the headline. What a letdown.
Well, you know something. That's okay. Mikey Leo says, "Hello, sailor. It's Fleet Week in New York, Russ. Good morning, Artem. Good morning, everybody."
Good morning, Mikey Leto. My conscious. I hope you're feeling okay, man. By the way, you're on the road to recovery.
I sure hope you are, Mikey Leto. This time next year, you and I have to go down to Fleet Week in New York at least one day on Memorial Day weekend. I'm going to hold you to that, Mikey Leto. Just to have a whole bunch of fun down at South Street Seaport. So good to see you too. Yeah, Stubble says it's a blues festival, 3-minute walk from home. Always liked metal, but was never a metal head. Always enjoyed a variety of music. Well, Stubble, glad to hear that.
Well, I hope the Tony's a metalhead. Otherwise, you guys are letting the Scandinavian reputation down a bit. Been a nation of, sort of a fellow of metalheads there.
Well, we have Lugnut6. Hello, Lugnut6, who says, "Good morning to the celestial rose of paradise." Well, good morning to you, Lugnut6. Thank you so much for the kind words. And goes on further to say, "And the man who makes Sundays as super as the Super Friends, he's Ultra Russ."
That's it. I feel pretty ultra today, actually, Lugnuts. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you to say.
I can just hear the theme music behind it. Thank you, Lugnut6.
I am Ultra Russ with my car. still love my car. I drove it up to North London to see my mate Sean the Goth on Friday night. It was so good because finally I got it out of fucking Richmond, where I live, where we've got nothing but 20-mile-an-hour speed limits, which is cause for revolution in this country at the moment. Actually, I got it onto not what you'd call a freeway. It's like what we call an A road. It's like a minor freeway, if you like. And I was able to boot it up to 50, and it's got that Mad Max sound in it, like the turbo kicks in, it goes boom like that. And I was like, yes, I love this. And I'm not really a very good driver, but I was going for it in my Miami Vice car. So yes, I was very happy.
Yeah, it sounds amazing, Russ. You have to start to take some dash cam video of you, and just wear the t-shirt with a like some kind of pastel colored jacket, so we can get that Miami Vice
Like a
vibe.
sort of mauve t-shirt and the white thin cotton jacket over the top, and the white baggy pants and the espadrilles with no socks. Yeah, I'd probably get fucking arrested, wouldn't I?
Well, I'd love to see it. I'm still waiting for somebody to take the photo and put your face onto Crockett's things. Someone to do
Ah,
something
well,
with
maybe we should do that for the next sort of, like, the promo video or something. I'll be Crockett, you can be Tubbs. It'd be great. It was his birthday the other day. Philip, I've forgotten
Michael
his name.
Thomas. Philip
You
Michael
think
Thomas.
he was 74 years old?
What?
Mm. He
God.
still looks amazing. He's got a beard now,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like Don Johnson didn't exactly age gracefully, if you like. Like Don Johnson kind of looks his age now, but Philip Michael Thomas doesn't. He just looks like, if he shaved that beard, he could get back in that Ferrari and he'd be fine with his double barrel shotgun.
I agree. I think it could be amazing. And also we have with us today Delta Ray Studios 3. Hey, Delta Ray
Hey,
Studios.
Delta Ray. I don't think we've met. If we have, I apologise, but hello, lovely to see you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, Delta Ray Studios 3. Such a pleasure to see you. Says morning all. Well, morning to you, Delta Ray Studios 3. And good morning to everybody here. So glad you all are here. Just really enjoy seeing everybody this morning. And as Russ said, yes, you are there, Mikey Lito. I'm holding you to that, Mikey Lito. We will do a day at Fleet Week and enjoy South Street Seaport. We'll have a nice day of walking around, hanging out with the boys and the ladies of the military. It's mainly the Navy, but it should be cool. Maybe I can even get us into some kind of fancy party. Who knows, Mikey Lito? Who knows?
Well,
Bonzo.
get your couch ready, Rita. I might be inviting myself over. That sounds like a party.
Yes, yes, Russ, you are always welcome to come over. Of course, my mother may not let you leave, Russ, but you are always welcome, Russ, to stay here whenever you like. So the door's always open. Bonzo Kilborn is here, everybody.
Hey, Bonzo.
Bonzo says, hello, you're looking mighty fine. Well, Bonzo, thank you. Thank you so much, Bonzo. As I said, I'm still dressed in my outfit for Cannes. It's been a crazy awards season. And yeah, we are a poppin' party today, all accounted for, Stavros. Bonzo, I'm not going to put that one up there.
Bonzo says, Russ, you're looking medium fine. It's because I didn't put product in my hair. Is that what it is, Bonzo? Sorry, man. Like,
Nice.
I was just at my stepdad.
Bonzo. That's not nice. But thank you anyway, Bonzo, for your kind words. Anyway, yeah. Retro Nerd Girl, if you come out, if you're here in New York at that time next year, do come and join Mike Alito and I at Fleet Week for at least one day down at South Street Seaport to enjoy it. Yep. If you find yourself in town, my dear, I'm going to
So,
hold that as well.
yeah, a couple of things. Norwegian Kryptonian says he's more of a Pink Floyd guy, but he doesn't turn metal off either. And Big Joe says, back in the day, I didn't go out on Friday night till I watched Miami Vice set the mood for the entire evening. As I said about Miami Vice, Big Joe, I think I was just that little bit too young. And as it sort of progressed, I wasn't into it. And therefore, I just sort of was going out doing heavy metal stuff. So I never really watched it. As I was saying last week, you watch it with the one eye of how cheesy and ridiculous it is, and the other eye of how cool and awesome and cutting edge it was back in the day. It must have been sick. It's just not something I remember from back in the day. I knew of it, but never got into it. So I'm kind of envious of you there. But it's so great watching it back all these years later.
It is great. It still looks good. I want to teleport to that time in Miami, guys. And the hidden is here. It says hello, positive.
Oh, the hidden is revealed.
Hi. It's so good that you are here. And oh, Mikey Lito says, I'm enjoying this love affair Russ is having with his car. I am
Well,
too.
do you know what it is, right? I know nothing about cars. I don't even know how to open the trunk on this one. You know what I mean? Like, so if there's something with the bonnet, I wouldn't know where the button is. I'm not a car guy, and I go purely on what they look like. And I've always wanted this one. Like, it's really, they don't make them anymore. So this is like a 2010 car, but I loved it. I just love it so much. And after all of the trouble and months that I went through trying to get hold of this car, I finally got the one that I actually wanted in the color that I wanted, and it's everything that I thought it was going to be. And the novelty hasn't worn off. In fact, Mikey, I'm thinking of going to the Halfers, which is a sort of car supply place, and getting some of that polish to put in it so it smells like a new car. And it's that tragic. I am that tragic about it. I really love it. So yeah, I'm very happy.
Well, that is good. I'm happy to hear that. Darth Plato kind of has a bit of a little sad story about his neighbor who bought a new car, loved the car, dude loved the car. Then a few days later, he started painting the house, didn't cover the paint overnight, and the raccoons tracked paint all over the new car.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't imagine.
Oh no. That must have been such a nightmare, Darth Plato. That is terrible. Tom G. Jackson is here. Hey, Tom.
Hey Tom, how are you, mate?
Hey, what did you get at the store, Tom? Just let us know. You're always going out and doing interesting things, Tom. And also let us know what's going on in Westerly. You're at such a beautiful town, Tom. So Memorial Day must be a big thing there where you live. And Mikey Lito says, it shows, Russ. I've been there. It's exactly the love affair I had with my Jeep in California.
Yeah, well, as I said, Mikey, I'm not a car guy. I'm not, but this is I just love the look of it. I just absolutely love it.
And Stavros says his favorite car is it Dino Ferrari?
Hmm.
Which is sold, and the one I have is a Rolls-Royce Jaguar. Ooh, red, by the way. Wow.
Wow, Stavros, you mustn't be short of a few quid. Then I might be tapping you up for some film investment if you keep going on like that with your Jag and your Ferrari. Come on, man. He is Miami Vice. Stavros is Miami Vice. He's got the full set.
He's got the hair, he's got
Yeah.
I could see him in blue, like in a blue suit with the white t-shirt, and as you said, with the shoes but no socks, going around in his Rolls-Royce Jaguar. Stavros, we can't wait to see a picture of you doing that one day. And before we start to talk about our topics, I did just want to show the person that you were talking about earlier, Russ, before we start talking about and correct me if I'm wrong, is this the lady in question?
Who's that?
Is this Amy Johnston?
No.
Okay. All right. So I have the wrong picture.
I can send you a picture in the private chat. Let
Yes.
me
Okay.
hold the phone, guys.
Because
Keep talking, RM. Keep talking.
he's a martial artist, and I thought it was kind of important just to show some of the professionals that you work with, Russ, and the work that you're doing. I think it is important. Amy Johnston is quite an accomplished martial artist, and I just wanted to show her picture so you guys all would know who she is. She has quite a resume. I think it's important for us to know and to see that going forward. I meant to show it earlier, but I wasn't sure if I had the right picture. I should have shown it to the private one, but
I'll send you a couple now, while you're just catching up on those things.
okay.
And I'm sorry to show over on the side of my face, but there we are. Right,
What?
private chat.
Private
There's
chat.
one.
Okay.
Hang on, and I'll get you.
Oh wow. Oh my
I'll,
gosh.
I'll get you another one.
You heard my reaction, right, guys?
I know, right? She's great.
Here,
I love her to
here
bits.
she is. This is Amy Johnston, accomplished martial artist. And Russ is working with Amy now, collaborating, whatever you want to call it. She is quite remarkable. I just wanted you guys to see her because she has such an incredible resume. And that's some of the work that Russ has been working on for quite some time. Yeah.
Copy image address. Copy image address.
Yes.
There we go. There's a close up.
Okay, and here's the I'm gonna show you the close-up one of Amy, and that looks like that the close-up looks like it was in California, Russ.
Well, she's in Los Angeles.
Okay, she's in Los Angeles, and here she is here. I just wanted you guys to see Amy. She's incredible, an incredible martial artist, an incredible performer. Just very excited to show her. And Russ, you were talking about exchanging, information, and you're working hard on this. Very excited to see how this turns out, everybody.
Well, I tell you what, guys, if you want to see something cool, because if you're sci-fi fans or whatever, Amy does this she does lots of skits, lots of fighting skits, and there's one that she does of like the Mandalorian, where her and her mate, I think it's Lauren, who's another stunt woman, they go into a toy shop and then they start fighting over Baby Yoda, and they get transported into Star Wars world, and they start fighting with lightsabers and pistols and all that sort of thing. There's tons of stuff on YouTube. People have put together tribute videos and playlists and all that sort of thing. But she's absolutely fantastic, and I highly recommend that you watch Lady Blood Fight, Female Fight Squad, and Accident Man, which she appears in with Scott Adkins. She is the best martial arts actor in the business today, bar none. Like, her skill level is so high, her ability is so high. She's off the scale. She's absolutely off the scale. This girl is so talented. And I say that above Scott Adkins and Michael Joe White and all these people. Amy can just do it, and do it for real. She's brilliant, and I'm very, very lucky to be working with her, and I hope something good comes of it.
And Mike Alito says collaborating. Yeah, right. And I think somebody put down male gaze, of course. Women look too. We look,
Come on, guys. She's young enough to be my daughter, literally. It's but yes, she is, Mario. She is beautiful, but I really admire her. I'm a fan. So when you as a fan, if you get to work with your heroes, it's good fun. But you got to try and. I said to her, look, it's obvious I'm a massive fan, so I'm not going to blab on about how awesome you are, but you're awesome, and that's all I'm going to say about it. And yeah.
And of course, Retro Nerd Girl says, yes, Amy is amazing. So is Scott. He has a wonderful YouTube channel interviewing action martial artists.
The Art of Action, well worth looking into if you like that sort of thing. Art of Action, they talk about the acting side of it, the stunt side of it, the camera side of it. You get real insight into what goes into shooting an action scene, and how hard it is. It's not easy to do this stuff, and they talk about it in great detail.
Absolutely. And Stella McShay says, resume, is that what it's called?
CV.
Pablo says, Russ, Amy, take over the world. It sounds like a hashtag to me, guys.
Please, God.
And Retro Nerd Girl says, I can't wait to see what you write for them, Russ.
I'm doing a buddy cop thing for them, Retro, which I'm about, I think I said earlier on, like 30 odd pages into it now. So yeah.
Norwegian Kryptonian wants us to post links to Amy.
I can try and find them for you if you'd like. Do you want me to do that like now?
When you're ready.
Okay. All right. Maybe who's asking? Was that Norwegian Kryptonian? No, it was Norwegian Kryptonian. Stick around at the end, and I'll do it at the end. Remind me at the end, yeah.
And what was I going to say? Yeah, age means nothing. That's true. Age means absolutely nothing in the States. Yes, this is the truth. Also, Tom Drew Jackson says, how hard is it, Russ? And finally,
you guys are sick. You guys are just out of order. You're out of order, the lot of you. Stop it. She's young enough to be my daughter. I think she's amazing. That's it. I don't fancy her at all. She's too young, but she is a very, very, very talented young lady. I think she's awesome.
And Russ said, Bonzo says, Russ, write yourself into part of this script.
Yeah, I'm actually playing the part of her sexy older boyfriend in the screenplay, right? That's the role I've written, and she absolutely adores me and just can't keep it. No, I will not be right. I will not be writing myself.
Whatever you do, don't write yourself in as the dad, because that's like, don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I totally could, but I won't.
And of course, Chuck Norris is legend. Darth Plato. And Stavros says Fakers on TV to me is Steven Seagal. Oh, and Chuck Norris. Okay, fair
Oh,
enough.
Chuck Norris was legit. I mean, he was like light heavyweight champion, full contact karate, 7 times in a row. I mean, the guy, don't spill fucking Chuck Norris. It was a brilliant story. He came to London in the 80s, and someone tried to rob him. Give me your Rolex, and Chuck Norris absolutely battered the shit out of this bloke.
Mhm.
Jumped out on Chuck Norris and his wife, and he absolutely wiped the floor. Then it's like the one person you don't. It's like the bit in Paul Hogan, like that's not a knife. This is a knife. Like, give me your Rolex. I don't think so. Boom, 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 boom.
I love it. And Stavros says my favorites are Jackie Chan, Jai White, and Jet Li, who really care about the craft and display on TV. I love them too. I think they're great. There's a lot of great
Yeah,
martial artists out there.
Jai
Hopefully,
White's Jai White's legit. He's really legit. If you watch him, like when he's talking about not film fighting, and some of his techniques are, he has this really loose style. He was explaining it like, and how real fighting isn't anything like film fighting, which everybody knows. But he was kind of explaining the differences, what you actually do. So you do this big long kick, and he said, "I would never do that. It takes too long." And yeah, he's a great martial artist, Michael Jai White. I love him.
and of course, we can't ignore the fact that the woman who has won Academy Award as Best Actress is also a very accomplished martial artist, Michelle Yeoh.
Mm,
Certainly, that is something to think about. I hope, Russ, that this means that there's a momentum towards looking at martial artists. They are such incredible performers, not just in the martial arts, but they're often doing stunts, right, Russ? And they're
mm.
also doing dramatic roles.
Yeah,
So it's not just one or two things. Even some of them do comedy.
yeah.
Like they really are incredibly talented. I have my eye on the lady who's going to be playing in the Ahsoka series. I mean, Asanto, one of the nieces of Bruce Lee, was in the Ahsoka series, and she fought against Rosario Dawson. Um, but I'm looking at another young lady who she's been in a few um, martial arts films. And what is her name? Um, and I'm like, I have to find it because I was so excited when I heard that she was also going to be featured in it. Only because, Russ, as you know, we don't always see martial artists, star in these films. Her name is Natasha Liu Bordizzi, and she's going to be starring in the Ahsoka series. But we also had another martial artist whose name, yeah, it's Diana Lee Inosanto, and
She's Bruce Lee's goddaughter.
yeah, and she was in it, and I knew as soon as I saw her because why am I bringing this up? I do like to see martial artists, legitimate martial artists, doing roles like this. Now, I have nothing against it if you're not a legitimate martial artist and you get the role and you do a good job, that's fine. But I do like to see martial artists play roles that are heavily indoctrinated in martial arts, or somebody who's studying it, or something like that. So
Mm.
so it is kind of interesting to do this. Retro Nerd Girl also goes on to say Scott interviewed Seagal. He's the real deal, still trains to this day, and that is also wonderful. I could see Steven Seagal getting in the gym.
I think Steven Seagal needs to get in the gym. Actually, he's no stranger to the sweetie trolley, is he, Steven Seagal?
I'm sure he is. And Michael J. White is insanely good. Yes, a great kicker. Absolutely. And she goes on to say, a lot of the time they do take hits for real. Yes, to make
Mm.
the scenes look good. It's an unappreciated art. Everyone thinks it's fake. Now, this is very interesting because you and I were talking about this the other day, Russ, is the fact that these martial artists have to get accustomed to taking blows. Now, that's something that seems kind of bizarre. I've taken martial arts class, but I never had to get into conditioning where I had to get accustomed to taking blows all the time. But these guys, they have to get accustomed. They have to be conditioned to kind of handle a blow, or else they'd never be able to do this kind of work, right, Russ?
Oh, absolutely. Adkins talks about it all the time, and you know, he often says that the worst thing is when you working with someone who doesn't have a clue what they're doing, or worse, if you're working with someone that knows martial arts but doesn't know film martial arts, and then they think it's a fight. And he said it's not a fight. It's supposed to look like a fight. It's not a fight. It's a dance. You have to know exactly what's going on. But yeah, um, oftentimes the punches have to land because they have to land with weight and with power. But to your point, it's almost a little bit of a dying art, this sort of thing, because they can fake pretty much everything. these days, and that sort of trend started with Jason Bourne and the shaky cam and the quick cuts, and sort of reaches ultimate nadir when there's like 13 cuts of Liam Neeson trying to clamber over a fence because he's older than me, and I would be able to clamber over a fence now. Um, so a lot of these martial arts, these highly trained martial arts actors, they don't need them. And the problem that you've got with an Amy Johnson or a Scott Adkins or even a Michael Joe White, if you like, if you go down a pub and you start talking about Keanu Reeves, everybody knows who Keanu Reeves is. Or if you start talking about, I don't know, Gerard Butler or somebody like that, they're big movie stars. But whereas Scott and Amy really aren't, and the roles that they should be getting will be going to a Keanu Reeves or a Gerard Butler or a whoever, because they're bigger names, and that's how you get the money for the film. But these people are so talented, and I hope that there's a revival. And there's a part of me philosophically that thinks that there may well be, if we get time to talk about that, I'll bring that up later.
Yeah, absolutely. We will talk about it later. Keely Chow says, "Good morning. Hello. Roll Tide,
Hey,
Keely."
roll tide, Keely Chow. Lovely to see you.
And something else that I think is very interesting um, is when we're talking about here. Well, Stubble mentions an incident where two people broke into Dolph Lundgren's house in Italy, tied up his wife, and when they saw the family photo, they fled. Yeah,
I'm not
shame
surprised. He's
on them.
gigantic. Is Dolph Lundgren apparently anyone that I've met that's sort of met him? Is he as big as they say? Said yeah, like he is like huge. He's huger than he looks because I think I say only. I think he's only 6'5" or 6'6". So there are taller guys out there. I think Jason Momoa is perhaps taller than Dolph Lundgren, but apparently his physical presence he is just a unit of muscle.
Yeah.
He's just recovered. He's in remission from cancer. He's been fighting cancer for years. He kept it secret.
Oh my gosh. Well, God bless him, and I hope it stays in remission because I love Dolph Lundgren. I think
He's a
he's
legend.
And Michael Lita says Michael J. White is 55. He looks fabulous. Yes.
Mhm.
And 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 a warning from Tom Jr. Jackson. Don't go to the grocery store on Memorial Day weekend. Never a good idea, Tom. I could have told you that.
Oh,
You,
mate, I just made the same mistake. I had to go shopping for my stepdad. I went to the fucking every fucker in Sainsbury's was having a gigantic barbecue, and I'm there with my two little bags of like potatoes and milk and whatever shit he wanted. No, and I'm just standing there like wishing I had a cigarette. I was like, what the hell is this? So yeah, I feel your pain, Tom Jr. Jackson.
Now, the thing I want to say before we kind of move on to the next topic, which we almost have to move on because it is connected to all of this. And Dino Dinosaur, I didn't forget what you said.
Yeah,
We
he
are
brought
gonna
this up
we are gonna
earlier. Yeah.
we are going to touch on that right now. But before we say that, over the weekend, I was talking to Robert about Fast 10 and, its success. And I compared it to John Wick only because Fast 10 has some elements of fighting. It has got some. It's not quite the same level as John Wick, obviously. Nothing is the same level as
Mm.
John Wick. There's very few films that will go there. But I did want to mention that for the effort that was put into John Wick for the fighting scenes alone, and yes, I know that these bulletproof suits are an element in this, but if we remove the bulletproof suits, if we remove people falling off buildings, there was so much work put into John Wick to create these fighting scenes. And yes, they indulge me. That scene where they're in those $1 million, $2 million trophy rooms are put in there for me because they know I want to see that. But
Mhm.
they also have the men in suits fighting in suits because they know
And we know you want to see that.
yes. We want to see all that good stuff. You give me 20 men in suits doing martial arts and my mouth starts to water. But aside from that, I haven't seen anything so incredibly technical this year. And yes, there are other films that go there and do that, but the amount of technical work, stunt work, coordination, practice that went into John Wick 4 and to the other John Wick films, I just don't believe that Fast 10 could even match that level. And they had this one fight between Charlize Theron and Michelle Rodriguez. And honestly, they would have been better off if that had been a lesbian scene because it just was unbelievable that Michelle Rodriguez could even touch Charlize Theron. I'm sorry, but Charlize would pound her into the ground. But it could have been very interesting if it gone the other way where they were like having a relationship. But my point is that they kind of wasted a fighting scene. It was ridiculous. The
Mm.
film is doing okay. Like Fast 10 is going to do okay, Russ. Internationally, it's probably going to hit maybe $800 million. But John Wick is made in the range of 400 to $500 million. And I'm wondering why, when you have such high quality fighting scenes, the intent in the scenes is fantastic. You had that wonderful Scott Atkins scene that we saw that was just absolutely unforgettable. And I am wondering, I just can't. I don't know how much special effects was in Fast 10. I don't know, but it was a lot, Russ. It was a lot of special effects. There was a lot of explosions. There was a lot of, what is it when they go ahead and, yeah, I guess it is special effects, but it's the computer ones, the computer ones.
CGI.
CG is a lot of CGI. I don't know. I can't remember CGI. A lot of CGI in that. And considering how over the top the actors are, you wouldn't, as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't even ever rely on CGI. I'd let the explosions happen off the screen, and we didn't have to see that. I'd much rather see the actors who are starring in it with, and see more of that. And for me, maybe that's the biggest victory about John Wick, is that we do get to see so much of the actors themselves, more of a concentration of focus on the actors themselves versus necessarily CGI. Like that's not that important in John Wick. What do you think, Russ, about all this?
Well, this is my sort of philosophical bent earlier on this week. I was kind of thinking about it, and I was thinking about my own reaction to Guardians of the Galaxy and how utterly bored I was by what was a decent movie. Right? It's fine. It's absolutely fine. It's a good film, and I just thought, "Fuck, I'm just over it, man." And I heard Robert talking about Fast 10, Fast X, whatever this one is called, and also like he's gonna, like they reached their peak at the fifth one, and I still like them, but they're all. I'm just wondering if audiences are getting tired of this. This massive, gigantic spectacle. Now, it's not showing in the numbers greatly, but I was reminded, because you know how there are certain sort of segments on the internet that just like to complain that everything's been taken over by people of color and women and all that sort of thing. Well, that's true to a certain extent when you look at superhero franchises and sort of big name franchises, but actually there's a ton of stuff coming out that it just isn't like that. You were talking about Gerard Butler earlier on, and he did one called Plane, and now he's doing something else where he's running around with a machine gun, and there's one that looks absolutely brilliant. And I've forgotten the name of it now. But it's about a guy, when the Americans pulled out of Afghanistan and it was all a big mess. He's a SEAL Team 6 guy, and he gets trapped there, and he has to rescue some girl and bring.
Enemy lines, like kind of thing,
Yeah, excuse me.
like a behind enemy lines kind of
It's
thing.
exact. It's exactly like that. Yeah, and he has to get her out. And I was literally welling up at the end of the um at the thing. And she little girl says to me, "Are you an angel?" And then it sort of like blah, 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 and goes on to the thing. And she goes, "You're my angel." And she's only about 9, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And they're going to get out. And it's going to be great. So there's a lot of these films out there. It's just a question of if you want to watch stuff that's going to get you outraged or not, and get annoyed. Like Star Wars and superheroes and all that sort of thing. They've gone that way, and there's no changing it. But there is like some really brilliant stuff. And to your point about uh, John Wick, yeah, it's Kandahar with Butler, thanks. And then there's another one, a similar thing. In fact, Bonzo, thank you for that. You talk about John Wick. If you watch any Scott Adkins like direct to DVD video, Legacy of Lies springs to mind, Accident Man. There's so many, Avengement. They're all equally as good as John Wick. In some cases, in fact, better. It's just that Adkins isn't as famous as Keanu Reeves. But those films that he does, and Michael J. White and all of those guys, they deliver exactly that. They just deliver what John Wick does. Skilled martial artists, fights, guns, car chases, relatively simple stories. Which is what you kind of want from that movie. So I wonder if we'll ever reach that sort of place that Robert Meyer Burnett keeps. So what happened to the $50 million movie? What happened to the $20 million movie? Let's put it out there. If it makes 60 million, then you've done well. But it's so risk averse. It upset me. It upset me on a personal level when I was watching the first Mortal Kombat movie, and they had this Australian actress in there as Sonia Blade, like the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Sonia Blade. This lady is a perfectly serviceable actress. I mean, she's no, Meryl Streep or Charlize Theron. She's a fine actress, But you've literally got Amy Johnston like sitting there, who is the real life Sonya Blade. I mean, she can literally do everything that character can do. Cast her. Why haven't you cast it? Now they're talking about casting Johnny Cage in uh, Mortal Kombat 2, and they're talking as much as we love Carl Urban, who can do anything. I love Carl Urban. He's not Johnny. You've literally got Scott Adkins. He's right there. He's right there. He looks like him. He is Johnny Cage. And they're talking about the Miz, the wrestler. It's like, no, dude. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a very good point. And it's the underutilization of these talented actors and martial artists that is really, somewhat ridiculous. And hello, Tape Drive Games. How are you?
Hey, Lords of Midnight. That was a tape drive game. That was a good game. I like that one.
It says, hi, Positive Fandom and Russ, and everyone. Well, so glad to see you. Mario Lopez makes a point of saying that Michelle Rodriguez fought Gina Carano in another Fast movie, and it was great. Yes. This was, however, the fight with Charlize, in my opinion, was not a great fight. It was not. So Mario, go ahead and watch it and let me know what you think of that fight, or anybody else who saw it. And let me know what you thought of that fight. Nathan says that it jumped the shark. Many of you guys are saying that. You said it jumped the shark. Mikey Lito says Fast Five jumped the shark. Nathan says it jumped the shark so many times. He's wondering what the sharks are like, what's going on here. And also, wait a minute. Yes. Yeah, I guess maybe that's it. Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. Stavros says Shazam 2 to him was a great experience besides a completely empty theater and showings. The gods were not nerfed, and the three actresses played their attitudes perfectly in the Olympian/Titans branch. Interesting. The Hidden says Scott Adkins has my vote for the next Batman after WB CEO leaves his current job and position.
Yeah, he's not getting any younger though, Hidden. That's the point. Scott's like 45, 46 now. I would have loved it. I remember watching the opening season of Titans, and there was this like ultra violent scene at the end with Batman. I thought, yeah, God, that could have been great. That could have been. And then and it turns out it's not Scott Adkins at all. It's Ian Glenn, and you're thinking that's literally Carl Urban as Johnny Cage casting there. That's just not. If Ian Glenn's going to be anybody, he's Alfred. He's not Batman, and he's never going to be Batman. And I don't. He's a brilliant actor, Ian Glenn. He's a fine actor. He's not Batman. Don't do that.
Now, Michael Lito says, I hate saying this, but I had the feeling to cast Lucy Liu because they couldn't get Michelle Yeoh. Which role is this for, Mikey Lito?
They're the gods in she's one of the goddesses in Shazam 2.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe Mikey Lito. That's something to think about. Yeah. My goodness. And we also have Mark Spector's avatar says Scott can be 60 and will still be Batman. Yeah, he's going to be badass.
I think so. I think so. But hey, Henry Cavill's 39 and apparently he's too old to be Superman. So F you, Warner Brothers, and F you, Hollywood.
Scott Adkins is hot too. So there is
He is insanely good looking. It's really funny. There's an interview with Chad Stahelski. They were talking about, like how Scott was badgering him to get into John Wick 4. And he said, "Oh, okay, I've got a role for you." And Chad Stahelski just thought it was, well, you're not going to like it. And then Chad Stahelski looks at the camera and goes, "Well, look at Scott Adkins. He's literally insanely good looking. He's such a good looking man. And now we're going to cover him in all of this stuff."
Yeah. That is really too bad that's how that went down, because he's attractive. He's so attractive. Just really without sounding too gushy, but yeah, he really is beautiful. And I think he's remarkable what he can do in a role. Clearly he can do any role. So I think that's something to point out. And let me see if I can get this image of this actor who we are going to be talking about. And of course, yeah, he's so good. He's so good. By the way, Russ, I went ahead and watched Man of Steel again because of last week's discussion. Good, Mikey Lito.
Nice one, Mikey. Did you enjoy it? I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, it's so wonderful. Cavill for Bond. I think Scott Adkins would also make a good Bond. I think they should do it together. I think that would be very interesting. Two different approaches, two different attitudes, I think it could work out well. So we do have to go on. I know you guys are talking about Shazam too. Um, yeah, we do have to start talking since we're almost at the hour of unfortunately losing this brilliant actor, Ray Stevenson, guys. Um,
Yeah, good Gray.
yeah, and of course, I know it was earlier, Dino Dinosaur, I think it was Dino Dinosaur was talking about this. What a
Mm.
shock this was, and what a blow to let's say his family, but also he's a big star coming up in a lot of stuff. I mean, I remember seeing him in a bunch of I think it's Catherine Cookson shows I was telling you about because I watched all those Catherine Cookson dramatizations, those made for TV things, and I rewatch them. Like I watch those things over and over again. But how could you not forget him? He was unforgettable in Rome, Russ.
Titus Pillow, 13. Come on. It's actually those two, Venus and Pillow. They're actually based on, very loosely based on real people. Venus and Pillow get mentioned in the landing that when the ships are when Roman ships are arriving in Britain to beat up the Celts. These two guys get a mention in Caesar's Gallic Wars. There you go.
Exactly. And he was in so many shows, Russ, that we've enjoyed through the years. Obviously I did enjoy him tremendously in Rome. Rome was a very unique television series as far as I'm concerned. And I kind of miss seeing a production like that. And of course, I guess the closest thing would be Spartacus. You said how
Mhm.
great Spartacus is.
Mm.
Um, and how it reminds you of that. But here, and thank you, Dino Dinosaur. Hope you're well today. Talks about him as Titus Pulo. Also, he was in Thor. So he's done Marvel.
Well,
Um,
yeah, he did. He was in Rome, which was quite a big breakout for him. And then he was the Punisher in Punisher Warzone, and
mhm.
it's the most violent Punisher movie. It's so over the top violent. It's brilliant. It's such a good film. Um, and he was also in Vikings towards the end of this of Vikings, and he was in Accident Man with Scott Adkins.
Yes,
Um,
that's right, Russ. I
playing Big Ray, and then we went to Star Wars Celebration, and there he was on stage, and now he's got this massive role in Star Wars. And you know what? He's only 6 years older than me. And it was like such a shock. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't. I was really upset. It really shook me because like he's one of those guys. He was in Black Sails, which I love. I love Black Sails.
Russ,
Uh,
he was in RRR, the biggest Indian
yeah,
last
yeah,
year, Russ.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, do you realize how big this film was? It got, I think, maybe over 1 billion people watched RRR, and
Mm,
he played like one of the main baddies in it. Um, I just, I'm just so shocked that we've lost him because there was so much more that he was going to be doing with his career, Russ.
mm. Just coming like just getting to that really sort of mega famous, like he's been working consistently, he's probably very well off and all that sort of thing. But now to land sort of RRR and then Star Wars straight afterwards, that's next level. Now you've taken another step up in it. But all that stuff. So obviously it's a tragedy for his family and all that sort of thing, and we have to acknowledge that. But as fans, like I was so shocked. I was just it would just came out of nowhere. So, I mean, who knows if he was battling with something or whatever. But he sent fine at Star Wars. He sent like he was in um, fine
He
feckle.
Yeah, he seemed like he was in top form.
Mm,
I don't know what to even think. I mean, I'm very surprised by this, and as many people are very surprised that he's gone, and that and it does feel quite sudden. Of course, there he is in Thor. I'm just pulling up some photos of some of the different movies and things that he's been in that we've all enjoyed him, and he's done a lot of really good work. And of course, as you all know, he's due to be starring in the Ahsoka series. Um, as a Jedi, excuse me, as a not a Jedi, as a I guess a Sith. It was kind of like up for debate as to what he was supposed to be, whether he was Jedi or Sith or whatever it was. But the
Isn't the
point is,
smart
had a
money
red,
on grey Jedi, isn't it? That they're like a sort of a splinter group of Jedis. They're more grey Jedi. That seems to be the hot take. Whether that will be revealed, but I'm going with that.
no, that you make a good point. And one of the things that people have been pointing out is that his character in the picture has a red lightsaber, and usually, like the red lightsaber indicates that you're a baddie, you know. However, I don't have a problem with Sith. Like, I don't really have a problem with the bad guys, just as long as they leave me alone and don't cause trouble for me.
Mm,
So, if they want to follow the path of whatever path, that's their choice. That's an individual's choice. So I don't judge Jedi, if they or Force users, if you want to be use that. I don't really even know whether there is, because with the Night Sisters, I feel very ambiguous about it, because some might consider that they use, the dark side. I don't know whether that's true or not.
mm.
So I really have to see whether that's true going forward. But it's something to think about. Um, and of course, we have a lot of people talking about how, how much they enjoyed his performance in so many things, Russ. Here it says the lightsaber looks orange. Oh, yeah, Nathan, it might be orange. It might be orange. Nathan, I have no idea, Nathan. It could be. And Stavros, yes, Team Sith. It's funny, Stavros, when I play Jedi Survivor, the lightsaber color that I have for my Cal Kestis character is orange. He has an orange lightsaber because orange is my favorite color.
I just
So
wanted to address something here. Just the hidden earlier on said, okay, Russ, maybe Scott Adkins as Batman isn't a good idea. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I wish they'd done it. So I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I think it's the best idea. They could have done it. I just wonder by the time that they get to it, if it, yeah, okay, well, we could do the Dark Knight Returns. That would be, because by the time all this crap with Warner Brothers is finished, we're going to be 10 years down the line, I think. So maybe that, but no, sorry if I misspoke. Like, I think he'd be absolutely perfect. It'd be my number one choice for Batman. I think he's brilliant.
And Bonzo Kilborn makes a good point about Daniel Craig not being very well known before he became Bond. So Scott would be great, and it would catapult him into major
Mm-hmm.
status. Stavros goes on to say, "Rest in peace, the best Punisher." I was looking for a Punisher photo. Yeah. So, it is something to think about. Here, Bonzo also talks about his third season of Black Sails as Blackbeard. Absolutely perfect. Everybody wants to play Blackbeard. Everybody wanted to play in that part, and he's the one that got that part. Certainly looks very ominous here. I know the picture's a little dark. I don't know why it's so dark, but he looks fantastic. I think he's one of those actors who really has so much potential. So it is unfortunate to lose him. And Russ, you're right. I would have never guessed. In fact, this picture here is him at Star Wars Celebration. I'm going to pull it up. And the only reason why I can tell it's a Star Wars Celebration is because the background says Star Wars Celebration on the wall. So that's how I know. And this is how we saw him. You and I were there. Could zoom in a little bit more, bring it down. You and I were there, and we were lucky enough to be standing, because I forced you to wait online so I could get autographs and such. But we were lucky enough to be right next to the Star Wars Celebration live stage. And at the Celebration live stage, if you just turn to the right, you can see like all the celebrities, like they're all up. But we also saw the celebrities while we were waiting online, because they were all in these booths where you can get autographs. And so we were there long enough where we saw like every major star that was there for a signing in Star Wars. So yeah, it is quite surprising this happened, and he will be missed. And I just can't believe it. So many great performances from this man. And of course, I do still love him in those Catherine Cookson novel made for TV movies. I love him in that. He was great in RRR, playing this badass person who just wanted to annihilate the two stars in RR. He was great. What a great role to land, Russ. in one of the most watched pictures of 2022. Hey, Lorena, how are you? Hi, lady. How are you? Says, hi, guys, watching from my sister's house in North Carolina. Hi, Lorena. Such a pleasure to hear from you today. I hope you are well. Lorena, we're talking about Ray Stevenson. And if you recall, Lorena, you and I watched RRR twice. And he was one of the major stars in RRR. Can't believe that he has been lost so soon. Such a good pleasure to see you, Lorena. I hope you're well, guys. Lorena is on the road. She is traveling and taking care of business. And this is the holiday weekend. We all are celebrating the holiday, of course. Lorena, it's such a pleasure to see you. Hope you are well. And of course, we are eager for you to return. Hope you are having a good time with the family. Tom Jr. Jackson says that he loved him in Thor. Yes, certainly something to think about. Bonzo Kilborn says, where's the barbecue, Lorena? So, Russ, it does kind of make you wonder. This was the last thing that I thought would have happened for Ray Stevenson. In his career, but he is a star in a major show, the Ahsoka series coming up, Russ. How do you think that's going to affect the story even going forward? Certainly, I'm going to miss the fun part of seeing him now after it premieres and all that fun stuff. But what do you think is going to happen with this particular case? Because I don't think this has really happened for, let's say, the studio, at least not for a long time.
Well, it happened with Carrie Fisher, didn't it? I think that caught them all by surprise. This, we don't know how much of a role that Ray's character was going to have going forward. I'm really not sure, but it all kind of rests on, there's so many variables with Ahsoka. Everybody in the world loves Rosario Dawson. Everybody wants this to succeed. Everybody loves her. Like you never read, an interview or a review going, yeah, Rosario Dawson was shit and I hated her character. Like you never hear that. Like she's just universally loved as a person, as an actress, and all the characters she plays, everybody loves. So it's got that going for it. Is it gonna be any good?
Mm-hmm.
Is the question with Ahsoka. And the problem with Disney Star Wars is you don't know. You just don't know. You might get a Jedi Survivor. You might get an Andor. But you also might get an Obi-Wan Kenobi. So you don't know what they've done with it. But what effects we don't know the extent of his character and what he's. Oh, there's Rosario. What did she says here? Stunned reading from this tragic and devastating news. Gone too soon from this world. At a loss for words, just wanted to mark this moment and share your ever ready and present smile. Love you forever. Holding your family in my heart. Legends never die. Yeah, that's a beautiful message on his passing by Rosario Dawson. But yeah, so we don't know with Ahsoka. Let's hope it's brilliant, because they are capable of brilliance when they leave the creators to get on with it and do their own thing, and not perhaps. I think the one thing about Ahsoka is it's going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting. It feels like that's like a connective tissue show, in the same way that Mandalorian season 3 seemed to be setting up a lot of things and not actually caring about Mandalorian season 3. It was about setting up the Imperial Kane and her operation. Then they were off doing something else, setting something else up, and then you're setting up the recapturing of Mandalore and how that's going to weave into Dave Filoni's big movie. So we don't know. We just don't know. But let's hope it's brilliant. I mean, I want it to do well because obviously Ray Stevenson. Also, I love Rosario Dawson, and I want her to be one of the biggest stars in the world, because who doesn't? She deserves it more than most. I think she's lovely and wonderful.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Everybody loves Rosario Dawson. She's a wonderful actress, and as you know, my favorite role of hers has been and will always be her role in Sin City.
Mm-hmm.
So, which I thought was stellar. But she has had so many great performances in her career, and she's still going strong. She's a wonderful Ahsoka. As I said, I don't have a problem with actors who are not martial artists playing a role that would normally be played by a martial artist. I think she's put in a lot of effort to make it work. They did put Natasha Liu Bordozi in as well, who's a serious martial artist. Like that's her whole life as well. So I think that they put yes, what you were going to say something?
Isn't Lauren doubling for Rosario? Laura Mary Kim?
I don't know. Is she
I think so. I
in the
think so.
fighting scenes?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's Lauren. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Um,
I don't know.
Someone will know. They'll look it up.
Does anybody know if somebody's doubling for Rosario in the fighting scenes? Um, yeah, this is something to think about. Um, yeah, something to think about. I don't know. It's something
Well, I'm
to.
sure Rosario put the work in. I mean, I'm sure she can lay some moves down. But Lauren, if it is indeed Lauren, is a lifelong martial artist. Absolutely fantastic with the two swords. She can do all of that stuff. So I know that they did have someone that I know in Mandalorian being someone as well. I can't remember. I can't remember if that was Lauren as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that was for the armorer parts, I think.
Yeah. So, but Lauren's in with Disney, so I wouldn't.
Probably done like 90% of the female fighting
Yeah.
scenes.
Yeah. Right.
She did the ones for Ahsoka in the animated series.
Hmm.
So if you watched Ahsoka fighting in season 7 of the Clone Wars,
Maybe
yeah,
that's where I'm getting that from. Then maybe that's where my
no, I
brain
believe
went.
she also did the armorer fighting scenes.
Mhm.
When I can't remember the actress's name, but when that actress was not, just doing the normal part, she did the fighting scenes there. I know that Asanto, Diana Lee Asanto, doesn't have a double for her fighting scenes, and nor would Natasha Leo Bordozi. I have no idea. It's something maybe I should even look at myself. I hadn't really concerned myself too much with it because I figured they would make it look great. But the thing that, and I had said this before, and I've said this a million times, when they first started to talk about the Ahsoka series, they mentioned that the Ahsoka series was going to be like a samurai series. And
Mm.
I said, samurai, I said, then you probably need to have people who are, devoted martial artists to do this. It's there might be a lot of sword stuff going on. It's not, it's not, I'm not quite sure how you would go ahead and do that with people who aren't martial artists. But, if what you're saying is right, Russ, I wouldn't be surprised. See, the thing is, I guess
I
they
don't
could.
know. I don't know, Aram. I'm thinking maybe Lauren did the stuff for the animated series, and maybe that's where I made that connection. Maybe it's not for this. Maybe Rosario's doing the whole thing. I don't know. I just remember Lauren having something to do with Ahsoka, and maybe it was the animated show, like you said.
Yeah. So let's see what we have here. Um, I'm just trying to see. Okay. We got an answer.
Oh, there you go.
Mike Alito says, according to IGN, Ahsoka star Rosario Dawson trained for 14 hours a week to create the acrobatic combat style stunts performed by the titular character. Okay, that is fantastic. She's training to do them herself. And it should be amazing to see what she does. I don't know if they're going to stick with as much hardcore fighting as the Ahsoka series could be. But let's see how it turns out. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. It's not a question about whether or not it's going to be a good performance from Rosario Dawson, because she always gives a good performance. So so it is something to look forward to, and I'm kind of interested as how that's going to be. Guys, please do hit the like button when you get a chance. Certainly, I really would appreciate a like and subscribe, guys. So, Retro Nurgle says, the more I think of it, I feel as if The Mandalorian was rushed. I hope the Ahsoka show will be able to restore the audience's trust in the universe. Yes. Let's hope so. It's got a lot of weight on its shoulders. Wow. That's a lot that it has to endure. Perhaps it shows Filoni as the creative force behind recent Star Wars, but was mostly absent from Mandalorian
Oh,
season
was he?
3. I have no idea. What I do know is that it certainly didn't feel like The Mandalorian to me, guys. And Nathan Trujillo goes on to say, I'm sure Ahsoka will be panned like the other Star Wars shows have been. Now, Nathan, did you like Andor?
I have a
Nathan,
question. I have a side question. Is
Mhm.
Tom Junior Jackson moderating today?
He is, yes.
Tom, could you do us a favor and look up Amy Johnston's YouTube, Instagram, and things like that for Norwegian Kryptonian, and drop them in the chat, that would be really, really helpful, because I said I'll do it at the end, but then everyone's going to go at the end. So if you wouldn't mind, while we're all on, that would be super helpful if you could.
Yes, thank you so much, Tom, and that's a great idea, Russ. Thank you for asking him to do that. I should have done that. Um, and Tom June Jackson says they look like they had so much fun making that show. They did
Mm,
have so much fun making that show. You could tell. And of course, there is one other star that we have lost, who it is kind of hard to even talk about it. Although she's really also been a star who has been in genre entertainment, and one of the first times that I ever remember, let's say, seeing her in a film, this is the film that I'm really kind of always have and always will associate her with, is Tina Turner in Mad Max. Now, she was much more than just the role of Mad Max, which, by the way, she, of course, we all remember, sang some of the theme songs to the series. But certainly something to think about, Tina Turner, who recently passed away. And she's just such an incredible performer. Um, so there is that. So, and I don't think there's anybody here who hasn't seen her in Mad Max.
mhm.
Um, and it was interesting. She fit right into this kind of um, genre. Like, she was perfect for this. Uh,
Yeah,
a lot of times they do casting and people are casted in. It wasn't great, and but boy, she really was very invested in this. Felt like that was her thing, and she was kind of like one of those people that, honestly, I think she was kind of a glass half full person in the apocalypse.
yeah, yeah. Well, she was running that. She was running Bartertown. It was all pretty sweet for her. I've forgotten the character's name.
Oh,
In
her name?
Yeah, in Mad Max. I forgot there was something really cool anyway. Something
I
George Millerish. I think it was Mama something or another, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that was
Auntie
not.
Entity.
That's it, Auntie Entity. There you go. Um,
I think
yeah, it
this.
was my least favorite of the Mad Max movies. I have to say, it seemed to be trying to do weird things with the Mad Max character. But that song, "We Don't Need Another Hero," is just an unforgettable song. She had so many, "Simply the Best" and "Private Dancer" and all these songs that she'll always be remembered for. But yeah, all of us, not all of us, but people of our sort of age, we're getting to that age now where people that we sort of grew up with are starting to pass on, because they were in their 30s and 40s when we were young, and now they're in their sort of 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's life's a circle, but it's always a shame when you lose such a incandescent talent that was, Tina Turner. Shame she didn't have it easy at the beginning either. Like we all know the stories about her and Ike and all the rest of it, and how she was like a phoenix rising from the flames to reach levels of stardom that neither she nor I could have comprehended. Just for that 10-year period of the 1980s, like Tina Turner was fucking huge. I mean, she was amazing, and what a voice, what a talent.
We don't need another hero. It was
Oh, also, recently, which is like a heavy metal band, released an EP of covers, and symbiotically, or with some sort of prescient, "We Don't Need Another Hero" is one of the covers on there, which is like really sort of poignant to hear, because they do a really brilliant job of it, and it just sort of landed right on the right time. It's almost like a tribute that they didn't know was going to be a tribute.
Well, another thing I want to talk about this character, and it is the apocalypse. So let's just, be honest about it. It's not easy to look good in the apocalypse, Russ. Okay.
Well, it is if you're in Mad Max.
Your clothes are made of chainmail. It's dirty. She's calling Mad Max a raggedy man. There's
Mm.
all sorts of things that are going on. It's not a normal kind of environment. And to be honest with you, she's incredibly sexy
Oh yeah.
role, and this is a mature Tina Turner, well into her 40s here, looking badass, ruling everything. She knows how to handle herself. She knows things could go to shit in 5 minutes, and she knows how to handle that. And even at the end, like, where she just never loses hope in it, where she says, we're going to rebuild this. It's we're going to keep going. And I could see why she was the leader here. She became sort of this figure that, obviously they have the Thunderdome and they fight to the death and stuff, but she became this figure that was so important to the story because she shows that survival is possible and you can kind of look at the bright side of life even under the most adverse conditions. Russ, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that was the sort of auntie's message, wasn't it? That she was, albeit uh, a bit barbarian or a bit barbaric and a bit authoritarian. That was like the beginnings of civilization again, and they had to try and make it work. Otherwise, it would just be, the humongous and Weses and of this world and the toe cutters of this world just riding around the highways causing mayhem until all the petrol finally went off or run out. So yes, I think that was kind of the point, her raison d'etre was, yes, civilization was rough and ready, but it was some form of civilization, a bit like the Wild West, I imagine, with those sort of harsh laws that they had to have. But yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it actually. Mad Max 3. I watched them. I watched all three maybe 3-4 years ago, and I quite enjoyed the follow up. The fourth one with Charlize Theron and bloke that lives around the corner. His name's gone out of my mind.
I liked it too. I liked that one. I thought it was great. The ladies had to
Tom
run
Hardy.
away,
Tom Hardy.
and she was going to get them out of there, which was also, I thought, really cool. They were on the run and driving away, and they had to make sure they got away. I just also think that she really just was so powerful in this. I think she made the role her own. And of course, one can only think of her struggles and then overcoming the struggles, and kind of this strong character is kind of emerging. Tina Turner was such a strong, fierce woman, incredibly talented singer and dancer. She always presented herself in a favorable light and was always a very classy lady. Kind of like a sexy, mature woman who would always have appeal, very, always have that appeal.
Much like yourself, Aaron.
Thank you for saying that. But that is so nice of you to say. I think that she certainly does represent this. It is true that Mad Max is a fantasy film, about a post-apocalyptic future that has not happened, but this is how you'd want to be. This is the character you'd want to be if you had to land on your feet like she did, even though it's a struggle, even though day to day things may not be working out the way they should. She constantly put forward this strong, competent leader in this. And I think he'll be back. I think Mad Max probably goes back every once in a while and visits Bartertown, for parts or whatever it is. But I just thought that the chemistry that she and Mel Gibson had, and it was kind of like a dirty kind of, dog eat dog world that they were in, the chemistry that the two of them had, it's almost as if they wanted the same things. Now, if she had this Thunderdome thing, fighting is something that was going to be the reality of the apocalypse in this new world. And true, she had the Thunderdome. I'm not looking at ethical, comments about it. I could care less. It's a cage fight. That's what it is, a fight to the death. But at the same time, it looked like people could just exist in this environment she created where there was nothing else, Russ. There was nowhere else to go. And, I think she kind of had the doors open where everybody was welcome. It really was such an interesting take on Mad Max. Not anything I expected to see. Were you expecting to see a storyline like that with Tina Turner in it, Russ?
No, I didn't. I didn't overly like it when it first came out. I think Mad Max 3 suffered a bit from the same sort of thing that Alien 3 suffered from, in that we all went in with a preconceived idea of what we wanted from these movies, and we didn't really get it in either of those films. And I think looking back on Beyond Thunderdome, it's a better film when you look back on it than it was seeing it at the time. I certainly remember I didn't like it much at all at the time. It just, I thought the whole thing with the kids in the desert was dumb. I didn't like it, and I watched it a couple of years ago, and it was okay, but it's still for me the weakest one of the Mel Gibson trilogy. However, she's fantastic in a mediocre film. he's fantastic in a mediocre film. And that's kind of how I feel about Mad Max 3. But to what you were saying, yeah, I just, I'll go with what I said before. I feel that it was like a very much like a Wild West frontier town. She's got a group of followers that are loyal to her, and they're trying to build something. So their lives aren't about, much like the oil guy in Mad Max 2. They built this compound because they didn't want a life of hunter gatherers. They wanted to, become civilized again. But it's basically ancient history played out on with cars and motorbikes, isn't it? You've got the raiders and the Viking raiders coming in, and you've got the Saxons trying to defend their little homesteads. And Bartertown is no different to Winchester in that regard. And you can imagine the place in Mad Max 2 being a sort of little place in Kent that was getting attacked by the marauding savages. But yeah, that was the 80s. I'm always reminded of when the unspecified virus of unknown origin was with us, and all these memes going around of like, what we thought we'd be wearing in the apocalypse, and it was all like Mad Max and Humongous were all wearing leather, and it felt like, what we're actually wearing during the apocalypse is everybody sort of like, in their pajamas,
Yeah.
flip flops and slippers and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is very interesting. I think that her influence over pop culture is maybe one of the biggest takeaways here. And this whole thing of, of course, these famous lines: "Two men enter, one man leave," and her whole approach about survival in the apocalypse. Um, and it is something to think about it. Yeah, Beyonce. I would say Beyonce is a very close comparison to her. And of course, the notion that Tina Turner, obviously spent many years on the road with Ike, playing, in places where they didn't get paid that much, but they were able to stay on the road and kind of keep going in under difficult conditions. And coming out of that was something that is memorable. And of course, she's broken records selling out stadiums. I always think about Rock in Rio. I always wanted to go to Rio de Janeiro, Russ, and see
Mhm.
her perform on the stage. I was too young to go, but I always wanted to see her out there. And she always wore these like really short dresses to show off her physique. And she was toned, and she danced in high heels it was just like incredible. I don't know how she did it all these years, but she was such an excellent performer, regardless of everything, despite every challenge that she had. Certainly a woman that I thought was fantastic. Yeah, so I am going to miss her, just like you. Retro Nerd Girl did kind of break my heart that she passed away. But Russ, you're right. We're that age where people are unfortunately the age where this does happen. And these two talented artists that we just lost, we certainly will um feel it, because going forward we're going to wish they were still around. But I have such fond memories of Tina Turner. I thought she was so extraordinary. Certainly a great actress. And Stavros did mention, or it might have been Bonzo Kilborn who mentioned, that she probably could have done a lot more acting if she wanted to. Um, that's right, Mikey Lito, The Big Wheel Keeps on Turning. They did also have a musical. I think it was maybe on the West End and on Broadway, Russ, of Tina Turner's life. Certainly would make a really good musical because she had so many great songs and performances. Stubble. Stubble says Tina's voice was like a sexy
She was
saxophone.
amazing. She really was.
Yeah, I agree. She was remarkable. Many of us did not see her during during the 60s and 70s because we were all born then. But most of us got to see her in the 80s when she had, her hits. What's Love Got to Do with It? And I'm going to kind of leave it alone at this point, but certainly you guys all remember that song, because that was one of her most popular songs. I think it went to number one in the United States. I don't know how it performed internationally. They even made a movie of her, and of course, Angela Bassett starred as Tina Turner in that movie. And of course, it was called "What's Love Got to Do with It."
Mm.
And Angela Bassett was good in it. I still remember Angela Bassett. She worked out extra to get, have like a more muscular physique like Tina, and she did the arm thing, like she did the arm thing that Tina does,
Yeah.
dancing around in those tiny dresses. You like, it was incredible to see what Tina could do. through the years, even as she got older. Yes, it was everywhere. Bonzo Kilborn. It was a great song, and I'm just so glad that that record producer believed in Tina, that she could belt out some tunes. You know, you knew she was a diva. You knew she could perform. You knew she had the stamina to do all this stuff. And it was wonderful to see her perform, and we really enjoyed so much of her stellar performances through the years. So may she rest in peace. I'm gonna miss her. Um, yeah, Tina Turner, we will always love you. Now, Russ, is there anything else you'd like to discuss before I talk a little bit about Can and Neon's incredible 4 in a row win of the Palme d'Or at Cannes?
Yeah. Anybody up for a little bit of Flash spoilers?
Sure.
I have news about the Flash.
All right.
I was talking to a redditor who saw an advanced screening. Yes, it was Stubble. Yeah, sorry, Stubble says Tina's music was featured in Miami Vice. Yes, it was indeed.
And there was an episode
Everybody's music was featured. Who was around at the
on
time.
Miami Vice. She was on an episode, and there's an episode where I think somebody killed her sister, and she killed the guy, and she says, "Aren't you going to arrest me?" And it was like, and you know, it was great. Like she was in the bed. I think she was with Philip Michael Thomas or either Don Johnson. It was great. It was great. Go ahead, Russ.
The Hidden asked which Flash, Russ. This Flash, Ezra Miller Flash, the one that's coming out soon. So I was chatting to this redditor, and this redditor puts up this post, and he's saying, "Look, does anybody want to know anything about it? You know, I'm not going to go into massive spoilers, but if anybody wants to know what happens, then I'll tell you." So there's only one question on my mind, and I got dogpiled by the redditors for asking this particular question. Sorry, do you want to get this one first?
The song "This Love Got to Do with It" reminds me of being a kid and coming home from the beach. Yeah, Tom, it was a song we heard like through our childhood, and it was on all the time, and it was such a popular song. Tom, I agree. It was quite influential, and she was friends with Cher McJagger, and you always saw her hanging around that crowd. You know, Cher also with a stellar movie career as well. And McJagger commented how he's going to miss Tina so much. I know she and Cher were very close. I'm sure Cher is devastated as well. Thank you, Tom, for pointing that out. Go ahead, Russ.
So my question was, does the Flash erase the Snyderverse? And the answer is no, it does not.
Interesting.
It does not erase it. It acknowledges it. The Snyderverse is canon up until the point where, you know, the story starts. Where it ends up is different, and Keaton is now the canon Batman. I'll tell you in a second. I'll tell you in a second, Bonzo. So it establishes a sort of new reality with Michael Keaton as the canon Batman. But the Snyderverse itself still exists. It's just not where Ezra ends up. Right? So that door is still open. Should they want to do it? So I was quite concerned that this would just be used to shit all over it and just say no, that entire universe, you know, you've destroyed the entire universe that you came from, and there's no way that could ever be, you know, they haven't done that. They've left it. So he's left one reality, he's gone to another one, as far as I understand it. In answer to your question, Bonzo, how much is Batfleck in it? 5 minutes.
What?
That's it.
Oh my gosh, I don't believe it.
Yeah, that's what that's been from several sources now. He's in it for a couple of minutes, and that's about it.
I can't believe it. 5 minutes.
Mhm.
And how long is the film, Russ?
I really don't know, because the only thing I particularly cared about was whether they were going to erase the Snyderverse or not, or was it canon? And they don't, and it is. But they've, you know, they've gone in another direction with it now. But that's not to say, and that they can't revisit it. And of course, when that came out, then people are asking James Gunn on Twitter, well, why can't we have the Snyderverse as an Elseworld? You've got Batman. Why can't we have what we want? And it's the one question that James Gunn is refusing to answer on Twitter. But enough of that. We should let Mikey Leto know that we stopped talking about the Flash now.
Yes, we stopped talking. No more Flash. All right. So, wow. Okay. Now I'm going to close the show with something that I find quite remarkable, Russ. Now, Russ,
Mm-hmm.
you and I have been talking about Cannes over the past few weeks. Actually, we talk about it all the time, but um, I wanted to say that something pretty remarkable has happened at Cannes that I had to bring attention to, and it's actually something that does not surprise me, but I have to talk about it, and it has to do with this company called Neon.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with Neon, Russ?
No,
Well, they are.
only from what I read in the article that you sent me.
Yeah, well, that's all you need to know about them. Here, they're talking about Cannes and how the winner of the Film d'Or is a movie called Anatomy of a Fall, and of course, it's about a woman who's suspected murderer in the death of her husband, and it won the Palme d'Or this year. But what's so remarkable about Neon is that this is the fourth movie in a row that Neon is involved in that has won the Palme d'Or at Cannes. Now, that's very, 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 very unusual. Of course, the four films that we're talking about are Anatomy of a Fall, Triangle of Sadness, Titane, and Parasite. And of course, you guys know I love Titane. Titane is one of my favorite films of all time. I thought it was absolutely revolutionary, really an outside of the box thinking film with self mutilation and birth and just all sorts of crazy zany stuff in it. Really keeps you interested. You can't fall asleep in Titane. But Parasite was another very interesting film. It's a foreign language film, doing incredibly well. Parasite also won Academy Award for Best Picture, right? Right, Russ? I think. Um,
Parasite did, yeah.
so that was a film that went even further. But what's interesting about this is the fact that for one company, Neon, to win the Palme d'Or for 4 years in a row, it's really something that's unheard of. So in response to this, in response to how well Neon has been doing, I'm kind of going to do a Neon Film Festival viewing, like watch party here on the Burnettwork and on Positive Fandom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead. Obviously, we can't watch Anatomy of a Fall because it's still in theaters and everything. But the other films, Parasite, uh, Titane, and what's the other one there? Triangle Sad.
Triangle of Sadness.
The name of the film. I want to do watch parties and sort of talk about these films because what is it about these films that they're winning such prestigious awards? I mean, winning the Palme d'Or, that's really very special honor at Cannes. And I know why Titane won it, but and I can honestly say Parasite as well. It was kind of an outside of the box film, kind of like Everything Everywhere All at Once would be outside of the box as far as I'm concerned. But certainly something to think about. I think Neon is one of the most impressive companies out there when it comes to making film and finding films of interest or films that will influence other films going forward. And so that's how I kind of view Neon as a fantastic company. And I kind of, obviously they are very successful in finding quality films that are very different. It's just remarkable that they've been able to do this 4 years in a row. So I personally am going ahead and deciding to take it further. It says that for Neon acquired both Anatomy of a Fall and Triangle of Sadness during the festival moments. Both Parasite and Titane were pre-bought with impressive foresight the year before their festival births. Parasite won on to score 4 Oscars, including Best Picture. Triangle of Sadness last year scored 3 Oscar nominations. And so it is something to think about. And I just want to kind of talk about these sets of films. Certainly, these are not ordinary films. They're kind of outside of the box. So if you like things that are outside of the box, different, not mainstream. These are not mainstream films, but certainly have made an influence because so many of them have been nominated either for Academy Awards or BAFTAs and things like that. Certainly, you want to do that. Um, Bonzo Kilborn says, just watch the trailer for Titan. What was that? Yeah, exactly, Bonzo. It's definitely different. And honestly, Michaelito, you can't go ahead and have an expectation for any of these films because they're way too out of the box. They just don't follow the norm of what you would expect. Like I said, they're very much like Everything Everywhere All at Once. If you liked Everything Everywhere All at Once, you might like these films if you like something different. They are original, guys. There is no copying, there's no IP. This is the original content you're looking for. Neon always has their hands in something like this. So, something to think about. All right. So that's what I was going to say. I put the announcement up already that I'm going to be doing kind of like a film festival for Neon, in celebration, and congratulations for them to have this, win, which is just absolutely remarkable. Now, the last thing that I was going to say for today has to do with the Little Mermaid, and of course, to follow up on Michael Lito's comments about expectations, the Little Mermaid is doing great. It's made $117 million. And I should mention, just to be honest with you guys, I've watched The Little Mermaid. It is a children's film to me. I think the whole family can enjoy it. You can bring your home family. There's nothing to worry about going to see this film. So it's a triumph. I think that it's wonderful that Bailey has done well in this role. We knew she was going to. She looks wonderful in this character. I think she looks so beautiful as the Little Mermaid. And so I'm not surprised that it's a success because it's the Little Mermaid, guys. um and there hasn't really been, I don't think there's ever been a live action one. I think they had an in studio version of it, or like in concert version of it, and I didn't like the in concert version. I thought it was terrible, but I still watched it. I think it was on channel 7 of like a regular network television a few years back. So, with that being said, Russ, do you have any comments about The Little Mermaid before we wrap up today's show?
No, it's not really on my watch list, to be honest with you. Um, I I think as much as certain segments of the internet seem to hate these live action remakes of whatever Disney's doing, and tainting the memory of the original animated classics, as some would have it, or whatever, like the Peter Pan one, and taking dumps all over these things that certain people seem to love. The box office doesn't lie. People seem to be lapping them up. So race swapped Ariel or not race swapped Ariel, it doesn't seem to make any difference. Like, people are going to go and see it, and if they're enjoying it, well, good for them. Then that will just give Disney all the impetus they need to um, know that their strategy is working and everything's copacetic, and they're going to carry on doing it. So yeah, if people are liking it, great. But I don't, I'm 52, and my daughter's now nearly 19, so I don't need to go to see The Little Mermaid, and nor shall I.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's going to do very well, from now until the rest of the summer. I think a lot of people are a lot of families who want
Yeah,
family
get the
entertainment.
kids in. Get the kids in. They'll love it.
Yes. Do I think it will make as much money as Super Mario Brothers, which seems to be the other movie that's family orientated? I don't know. But what I do know is, it's something to think about. I'm very happy that it's made this much, doing well, and it's wonderful. However, for me, it is a child's film, so it's not likely that I would go to the theater to see this. I'll wait till eventually it comes on streaming. Although perhaps I will discuss a little bit about, the importance of some of it if I do go and see it. But right now, it's not on the list to see. However, I hope those of you who have been going to see The Little Mermaid are enjoying the film. And as Stavros says, yeah, Little Mermaid is awesome sauce. So, guys, Russ and I are going to wrap up the show now. Russ, where can people find you?
Normally here on a Sunday, or you can email me at contact@russellwhitfield.com. So I don't know, Norwegian Kryptonian, if you're still here, if Tom got that stuff to you. If he didn't, email me at contact@russellwhitfield.com, and I will provide you all the links that you need. But more importantly, where can people find you, RM?
Well, guys, you can always find me here on Positive Fandom and, of course, on our show, Russ Sunday Brunch at Sundays at 10:30 a.m., where we do all the talk, all the parlay and the fandom, guys. But of course, on Mondays, you can always find me on Ladies of PGS on the Burnettwork coming up. And of course, on Midnight Musings, Uncivilized Scoundrels on the 1/6 Scale Man Network. I will be doing Toxic Male Appreciation with Lorena on Thursday, where we're going to be talking about The Little Mermaid, just so you know, as well as Midnight Musings on the Burnettwork and my other shows coming up. We're going to have another Cat's Corner on June 5th. We're also going to be talking more with Heath's Geekverse and his Cultists comedy series that he premiered seasons 1 and 2. We're going to do a watch party on the Burnettwork.
I have a question. Have you ever done Scott Adkins on the Toxic Male Appreciation Show?
No, we haven't.
What the hell? What the hell, Lorena? Are you listening to this? What's going on, guys? Like, that is like seriously remiss. What is going on here? Even I'll come on for that one.
All right, I will mention it to Lorena and see what she says. I have a feeling she'll be fine with that. You know, of course, this one we're going to be talking about The Little Mermaid and the Disney princes and their role in a lot of these stories. It's so great to see all of you guys here. Remember, every day I stream live Star Trek Resurgence game here on Positive Fandom, and every day I stream Star Wars Jedi Survivor live here on Positive Fandom. So I do 2 gaming streams a day. Guys, please do check it out if you want to see more gaming. Many of you have been, and I've seen a lot of you show up for that. And of course, guys, remember, I am going to be doing a Neon Film Festival right here on the Burnettwork and Positive Fandom. I'm going to stream to both at the same time, where I'm going to be talking about the 4 films that Neon had that have won the Palme d'Or Cannes 4 years straight in a row. That is not a bad run, guys. Maybe
That's
even
epic.
Yeah, it is epic. It's unbelievable. So I decided to have my party frock on to celebrate something so cool as that. And of course, one of my favorite films, Titane, which will be one of the ones we do a watch party for, and do a deep dive into Titane because it is really out there, guys. I so appreciate all of you, Tom Junior Jackson, moderator, collaborator, and good friend. Thank you so much for watching, and everybody who stops by today. So appreciate your kind words. And Russ, it's always a pleasure to do Sunday brunch with you. Thank you for your kind words. And guys, always remember, no matter where you are in the galaxy, always remember to please be kind. Take
Thanks
care.
so much, everyone. Bye bye.